I was just asking about the final shots there on the lake. I wonder if you could tell them a bit about that, how you engineer that, the shot of all the boats and the production.
Yeah. This was, I used to say that was a gift to us from the community living there, because we actually had a very little money to budget to make the film, and we could only afford 12 boats for the scene. And I was just like, okay, already like sad, but okay, I could only have 12 boats to do it. But when we arrived in the lake where we shot it, which was like 45 minutes walking inside the jungle to arrive to this place, there was like 56 boats waiting for us. The whole community knew that we were going to shoot, that we were looking for people on boats, so that everybody appeared there, and everybody wanted to participate of the scene. So we had to manage to give like food to everybody, and to like the production was crazy, like, okay, let's do it. Okay, we do with all those boats. And we were in the middle of this huge lake. For the camera to be still, we have to like tied 2 canoes together and have the camera in the middle. And we will have 1 boat to the sound, 1 boat to the direction department, 1 boat to the art department, 1 boat, it's a production on boats. And suddenly I was there like with all these people like coming, and I was like, oh my God, this minimalist family drama became a Ben-Hur scene, you know? Like I was like, to the left, to the right. To the
Suddenly you're doing an epic shot.
Suddenly it became an epic,
Yeah.
And I was very like glad and surprised by it, by the impact that had.
Yeah. I mean, I love how the whole movie, ends up kind of building, and then you presenting that at the end. You spoke a little bit in the introduction about how you, learned a bit about the region. Could you tell us more about, what the dynamics there are, and also, I guess you must have learned during the shoot more about it from the people working on the film with you.
Yeah. So on okay. I'm in doubt. Okay, about the crew, I'm just gonna say something about the crew, and then I say something about the island. So our crew department, like 40% is Colombian people on the crew. All of chief departments, all of the head of departments are women. We had 3 women breastfeeding on set. I was one of them. The first time I went to the island, my son was 9 months old, just got like yellow fever shot. And then when we finished, because we went there a few times to shoot, like 3 times to shoot, because we wanted to have the water coming up through the film. So when we finished, he was 2 years old. We also have like the sound person was from Cuba. The music is from a Venezuelan composer. It's the same from the Embrace of the Serpent.
Oh, right, that's Ciro Guerra film.
Yeah, Ciro Guerra. So we have like a very Latin American crew. So, and what I learned, like living there, when I was doing the research, that I met this island and these people, I already wanted the houses in stilt house, because I wanted to have this thing of the water coming inside the house while the sorrow of the mother is coming outside her eyes. So you have the water coming inside the house, and the next shot you have her eyes with the water coming out. And this island was like perfect to shoot it. And when I start talking to the people, I start asking them like what they do after school, what they, like how was their life. And they start telling me about the ghosts of the island. So it was really weird, because I was writing, it has on the script already this ghost thing, but not so strong. And then suddenly they start telling me about the ghosts who live with them, who would incorporate into them and make them do things that they don't like, who would change things like on the objects on space. So it's a weird cosmology where ghosts actually like move things around. And it was funny, like something that I had imagined actually was happening there. So I was sure that was the place where I was going to shoot. And also all this conflict that they have, that they are trying to get rid of them to build a casino there, is true. That actually happens. So then and the president of the island is really the president of the island. They have this self-organization, which I believe is amazing. Every Sunday they clean up the island. Every 2 weeks they have assemblies to decide what they will do. So all those stories I kept hearing, and then I went back and I wrote and mixed in the story. Also something that I learned are like the fluorescent thing is something that is very used in the Amazon region. You see a lot of fluorescent things, and then when I was talking to them, I learned like in some rituals with ayahuasca and some other hallucinogenic substances,
hallucinogenic, yeah.
They see the spirits in those colors. So yeah, and then I was like, okay, great. That's where I got the idea to actually put the spirits on those colors. One of the producers were just like, oh no, why don't you do like scars? Like people are gonna get, maybe they are not going to understand the film. But for me, it was more important to have this other kind of presence, which is not a scary presence. It's like they live with them; they're not scared of them. Yeah. I mean, it's strange for them to have a spirit living together with them.
Yeah, and I mean, there's something about the fluorescent colors, even the way they appear on the screen, it feels like a presence, just an extra presence that's around them. So it kind of is a nice motif for that. I also wanted to just ask about the kind of camera work and camera placement. A lot of times you have a sort of a still camera at a distance, so you're framing things with the action unfolding. Could you talk a bit about your thinking behind that?
We have a lot of things happening outside the frame. So we did a storyboard, me and Sofia Ojoni, who is the DOP, because I know that I'm telling a story about feelings and presences that sometimes you don't see. So a lot of time we have like you're seeing something, but you're hearing some other things. There's a lot of sound design. We're also talking about that. So you hear like steps passing through, and you hear. We distort sometimes the sounds of the nature, so you can feel something is weird there, but you don't know exactly what. And I wanted to make sure that who sees the ghost and who doesn't see. So for example, the Fabio, the boy, he doesn't see. So every time, which is his point of view, you don't see, not the father nor the girl. The mother sees both. I mean, she interacts with them, she talks with them. So every time when the camera is her point of view, you see. So it's very, thoughtful, the way of going through that.
Yeah. I want to make sure the audience gets to ask some questions about the film too. Who wants to start? Here in the middle there. If you could just wait till you get a mic so we can hear you.
Have you shown the film to the community? The community, have they seen the film?
We have had the girl and Abuelita. They went to Brasilia Film Festival with me to see the film, and also the mother is a great Colombian actress, Marleyda Soto, and the father is a great Brazilian actor who was born in Peru and lived abroad in Latin America. So they have seen. The little girl and the Abuelita has seen as well in festival. But we are going to make the screening there now in April, that we are doing we are going to release commercially in Brazil and in Colombia, so we are doing a lot of how to say? I forgot. Pre-shows, I don't know. I forgot the name.
Outreach or sort of traveling? Or?
Yeah, so in April now is when it's scheduled to have the screening there for the whole community. But it was amazing to show them and to be with them in some huge festival. It was the first time that they traveled with airplane, and they were amazed.
And what was their reaction to it, kind of?
Abuelita, she was, the grandmother, she was like, I'm so glad you're hearing what is happening there. We have to do something, like she's like
organized.
Political. Yeah, she was like, write that on the newspapers, and she was very much, and the girl, she was just like, oh my God, I'm there. And the little boy we couldn't take because of some documents was missing, so we couldn't take him out of sight of there. Oh. He's also from Peru. I mean, it's a lot of mixture from Latin America.
It's interesting. I mean, that's what's so interesting about the area is that it's a kind of no man's land between different parts.
It's a border film, it's a border between living and death, between cultures, between languages, between
countries. Yeah.
We call in Portuguese terceira margem do rio, which is like we say the third margin of the river because of a writer. So it's like, this kind of place where people are waiting, and
oh wow, okay.
You are between worlds.
That makes me think of Hades or something. The boat, Sharon on the boat. Another question. You just hold your hand high in the front. Yeah. Oh, no, sorry, you're going in the back there first. We'll come back to you.
Hi. You're talking about the camera just before, and I was very curious about the girl. It took me a little while to realize that she's a ghost, right? She's a spirit. So, and to me, it was very interesting to see that there is a strong point of view from the mother, but also from the girl. And at times I thought that she was telling the story. And I was curious about that, if you wanted to split into kind of worlds, like the non-living or the non-living living world. So how did you come up with?
So for me, the film is this process of the girl getting to know that she's dead and actually like being like not apart, but like being more and more distance from the mother, and also for the mother to actually pass through this grief and letting them go somehow. So in the beginning of the film, you have the mother and the daughter, like the mother is carrying the daughter every time, everywhere, so she's very attached, and little by little they start to get more distance from each other even in the frames. And with the kid, the other kid is the opposite. In the beginning, the mother and the kid are chasing each other, like they are distance. And at the last shot, they are like holding each other. They get like more and more close. So for me, the arch of the mother and the girl is in one direction, and the arch of the mother with the boy is into the opposite direction. Like, and for me, the big question of the film is, how can you keep living and loving when you have passed through this kind of loss? So yeah, so the other kid is kind of like calling her attention for him, who is alive, while the girl is like little by little understanding how to communicate with the mother, or how to, yeah.
Another question?
And she gets more and more fluorescent. I don't know if you notice, like in the beginning it's just the earring, the shoes, and the backpack. Then she has something in her hair, then she has shorts, then like it's in this process of that, the father, the same thing. Maybe, yeah. Well, it's funny that you're saying that, because the last music that they sing while they are, in the boats with the spirits, is a thing that also I asked them to sing me a song of a funeral song. And then they said, no, we cannot sing that, otherwise somebody's going to die. And I was like, no, it's okay. You have any other, like music or that we can use? And I told them the story. And then they said, oh, we can sing a song when somebody change from one stage to another stage of life. So they sing this song when like a girl passes to be a woman, or like when somebody get married, or I don't know, gets something that changed to another stage of their life. And it's a beautiful, the lyric means like, as seeds, we are going to be reborn to make this place a place of abundance for all, which is very beautiful as well. We decided not to put subtitles because for me the feeling was stronger than the meaning of it. But it's when you say like coming of age, it can also be like to change from one stage to another stage of life or death.
Question here in the front.
Yes. Oh, thank you. I'm just wondering about the future of Fantasy Island. Will the people eventually have to leave? And my second question, do most of the people coming there eventually go to Brazil, or what country?
Yeah, a lot of people cross borders there and come to Brazil. It's just like you cross the street and then you are in Brazil. What the upcoming of that region will be, I actually believe they're going to make a war against Venezuela, Brazil, the US, and Colombia. I don't know, that's how it seems right now because of oil, which is really sad. I mean, they are being in the island itself, they are organizing themselves for 20 years, more or less. So I don't know if, I think they are well organized to somehow do some kind of resistance, but we never know. I mean, we really never know. These vulnerability communities, we never know how can them...
About how many people live there?
I forgot the number.
It's like 10,000s or something?
No,
But less?
no, much less. I think it was like 800 families.
800.
Is small.
Yeah, wow.
Something like that, yeah.
Wow, yeah. I think there was one in the middle, or no, in the back there, yeah.
Hi, so I wanted to know, like, when you started doing all the research and you're still writing the script, I'm sure a lot changed once you got to the island. And I know you did also research when you were on the island, but did anything change when you really started right about to shoot, when the crew was there, all there? You're saying all these little things of like how the community brought ideas and got involved with the film, and the last scene, they all show up with their own boats. So what's the learning that the community, I know you said it like a few like punctual stories, but how do you feel like this community helped you to make this film? And my question is more like, how do you feel like this integration between the filmmaker and the communities help films and help the stories to be told? I know it's a very broad question, but I know I feel like you have a lot to say about this.
So when I mean, a lot of things that I learned during the research period that I stayed there for a few weeks. So then I went back home and I just left the script that I had and I rewrote with the same story because it was very strong. Also from the first versions of script that I have to this one, I had a child, and I mean, a lot of things changed in my life, so I was like not recognizing myself on the script anymore, so I just rewrote everything. But then, during the process of pre-production, we were doing rehearsals with them and with the actors there, and I don't like people to memorize the script. So they didn't have the script. The only two persons who received the script was Marleyda and Enrique, the two actors, and I asked them not to memorize anything because I like the freshness of improvisation. So we'll do like scenes, and then they're gonna get to learn the stories while we were rehearsing. We rehearsed for over a month, I think, before the shooting, which for the kids was very good because they also were like, when the girl discovered she was a ghost, we were already rehearsing like for 3 weeks, and then we made a scene where her friends tell her that she was a ghost. It was like something like that. And she was shocked, and the friend was shocked, you know, or Abuelita told her she was a ghost. And they were shocked, and they were crying, I am a ghost. And then they were really like suffering their death. So when we shot, it was like very fresh when she started talking, you know. We also made scenes like of the death of the father, of the velorio, I don't know this word in English. When somebody dies, that you cry, I don't know, like mourning of the father. We also made the scene of like the first birthday after the father's death, like so the kids will have those memories fresh. And when they met again with him, they were just like, oh, he was not dead, you know, like. So we did all those things during the rehearsal, and there was a lot of great scenes that came up that I would love to put on the script, but I didn't have time to change all the production plans, you know. They were writing like getting locations, this and that and that and that. So I hope for the next film I'm going to rehearsal, then have like 3 months again writing, and then going to shoot, you know. That's what I'd like to do. For the community, when we went there to tell them that we would like to shoot there and what could we do to help them, they asked for us paints to the house. They want us to paint the houses and give them paints to paint the house. They asked us for a school. For us, it was hard to get a school, but the house we built for the film, we left there as a cultural center. So we got like, we legally bought a piece of the land because then the mayor of Leticia lot allowed us to buy. I mean, it was like a crazy thing, and then we, yeah, a little part of the thing. So now they actually have a piece of the land, like registered, because we bought for them and we left with them. We passed to their association, and there is a Los Silencios cultural center there, which is the house, and there like we left books and things for people to do. They do now the meetings, the assembly now in this house.
That's the good after effects of a film production.
But it's always violent, you know. Like a film is always a violent process that we stay there like for 2 months and then we left, and you know, like, of course, I still are in contact with them through Facebook and especially the kids and all. But we also had the care of having a psychologist together with the kids through the whole process and after, because we knew how violent these things is. We get very attached to them, they get very attached to the crew and everybody, and then we just leave. So we have them, you know, going to a psychologist for, I still think they are still, it's from the school. So, I mean, we do what we can, but we have the knowledge that is a violent process.
Well, that's interesting because that sort of adopts a sort of responsibility that, you know, often people feel that when you're shooting like an ethnographic documentary that they're not very responsible. So it seems that you've kind of incorporated responsibility as part of the filmmaking.
Yeah, I do what I can.
I thought I saw a hand in the back, but then it disappeared. No. Oh, sorry, in the middle here, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the title, The Silences, and whether you put that in the sound design or something?
So when I was doing the research and I interviewed over 80 families, Colombian families living in Brazil, that was a word that came again and again and again, like the silence, was something that I was always like stepping into this word. So after a while I was just like, okay, it's not the first title of the film, but like after a while I was like, okay, I think this is saying something. And then when I was writing, and then I discovered that the girl was silent the whole time, because actually it was a discovery for me that she was dead. When I was writing, I mean, this was not my first idea. I was writing, and then I was like, I think there is an assembly of ghosts, and I was writing about this assembly of ghosts. And then she started talking there. But in the beginning, she was just silent the whole film, and then she was talking, and then I was like crying because I was like, oh my God, she's dead. Oh my God, she's dead, she's dead. I can't believe she's dead. And then I read again, and I was like, she's dead. She was there all the time, she's dead. And I mean, it was a discovery for me. And then the silence makes sense for me, so you pay attention to the thing that she is silent. And it's also the sound of death for me. I mean, this gap to talk and to communicate, and you have silence. And yeah, in the sound design, it was also presence, like how can we talk with silences and not have a lot of music and have the silence speak by itself.
Well, I think we're sort of coming to an end of time. We have another film coming up shortly, but maybe we have time for one more if there's another. Any last? Nothing. All right, all righty. Well, thank you so much for a wonderful
Thank you.